What's up guys, MOTOBOB here. Today we've hired an F800R, the BMW, while we're in Portugal for a little bit of sightseeing around the mountains and that kind of thing, so I thought I'd take the chance to do a quick video review. Unfortunately I can't motovlog because I don't have any of my audio stuff in my own helmet, but it's been great riding it all day and you get a much more of a sense of the kind of bike it is than you would normally do if you test riding something for an hour from a dealer. So we've been really enjoying it. I've ridden both the GT and the GS version of this bike from BMW on Park Lane. So it's the same engine at 800 parallel twin, and it's got that 360-degree firing order that makes it sound exactly like a BMW. Just like the horizontal twin boxer engine, and it's really quite smooth as well. I think it's got something like a dummy conrod that smooths out the engine, but it's a comfy ride. It's got about 90 horsepower, which is plenty enough, even two up with a top box on. And I'd say it handles pretty well as well. We haven't really been absolutely hammering it, but there's plenty of twisties around here and that kind of thing, so plenty of chance to test out some cornering, and it's really fun to ride. So this is the kind of naked version of the F800, and it's much more road oriented of course than the GS, and then also a little bit stripped back compared to the GT. Another big difference to the GT is that this actually has a chain drive and the GT's got a belt drive. So the belt drive is definitely a little bit easier to maintain through winter and that kind of thing, and it also might give a slightly smoother power delivery. But with this, you can change the sprocket sizes to change the gearing, so that might be a consideration if you're doing track days, that kind of thing. And also some might say a chain's a little bit stronger as well. Equipment on the bars and stuff is pretty simple. One of the things I actually really like about it is it's a cable throttle, whereas the GS and GT that I rode were fly-by-wire, so they've got all the riding modes and the electronics and that kind of thing. For some reason I just prefer the feel of a cable throttle, so that's one thing I really like about this bike. A big difference to the GT is that it actually has upside down forks, which not only look great, but you can tell that the suspension is slightly high quality on this bike. It also has a double-sided swing arm, whereas you've got a single-sided on the GT, so that's probably for lightness, I guess. Some might like the way it looks on the GT, it's quite stylish, but you know, perhaps slightly better performance on this bike. It's about 200 kilos, so relatively lightweight for this kind of size of bike, and it, as I say, handles well, accelerates pretty quick. The brakes are pretty awesome. It's like 2 discs at the front, of course, Brembos. I don't really use them that much today. When you've got a pillion on the back, I prefer to use the back brake, smooth it out a little bit, and the back brake's fine, especially at the relatively low speeds we've been going, but it's good to know it's there. This one has ABS and heated grips. I don't know if those are extras. It tends to be quite expensive for extras through BMW, but you know, that sort of thing is there if you want it. 3 favourite things about this bike. Number 1 is that it's super easy to ride. I pretty much got straight on it today, and you can get both your feet down, easy clutch, easy brakes, and it also pulls from low revs really easily, so there's no problems whatsoever. Number 2 is that it's great for pillions. There's so many modern sports bikes, you know, the new version of the R6, like Z800 or that kind of bike, all of the Hondas, they have a tiny pillion seat. And I think that's by virtue of it having the petrol tank under the seat there, is that that's quite a substantial unit, and so it means you can get a good size pillion seat on there, good pillion pegs that aren't too high up. And my wife Alice, who's been riding with me all day, said that it's really comfortable and she's really enjoyed riding it. So that's number 2. I think it's quite nice to have a modern sporty naked bike that actually has a good pillion seat. And then the last thing is just the riding position for me. Out of the GS and the GT and this is probably the one that I've enjoyed riding the most. Oh, there's a lot of traffic and stuff, isn't there? Certainly if you're doing so much traffic. I could just face this way. Yeah, the third thing that I really like is the riding position. So it's nice wide bars, foot pegs are in a nice spot. You're not too crouched down, but you're not too upright. You can definitely get some decent miles in, and it's really comfortable. Of course, the GS and the GT would be way better for kind of motorway miles because they've both got screens. But if you're looking for something that's kind of just for day trips out and little kind of rides, Come on, guys. Yeah, if you just days out and that kind of thing, and nice sunny riding weather where you're not worried about the wind or the rain or that kind of thing, probably this is the one that I choose. Actually, I've probably enjoyed riding this the most out of those 3 bikes. Also, the looks have grown on me a little bit. It's not for everybody, but I'm quite into it now after spending a day riding it. Except for ignore the top box. Anyway, if you got any questions about the F800R that I haven't covered off, please do leave them in the comments below. And if you're new here and you want to see more reviews and videos like this, then please click subscribe.